Welcome back to another video on the K24 swapped Porsche build. Let's get straight into it. We got some nice Haltech goodies that arrived. We're gonna mount everything up. We're gonna get things back into the car. We're gonna plan some chassis wiring, and we're gonna install that digital dash. Please make sure you like and comment. It actually really helps the algorithm find these videos so that it shares it with other people. And then we're so close to 1,000 subscribers. If we can hit that by the end of the year, I might do some kind of giveaway. I don't know if people are interested in that. But either way, if you want something that's a part of this build, please help and share and subscribe to this channel. There's like 65% of people that come back aren't subscribed. So yeah, if you would just subscribe, that would be very helpful. And then let's get into it. I need to remove this hub adapter and the Battlecraft disconnect. So we're gonna get removing that. And then we will remove the Momo hub adapter because we want to get, basically I just need better access to this. So removing everything in front of it will be, just make my life a little bit easier. I feel like these are the wrong screws. I'll have to find the box. All right, so we've gotten rid of that. Now, I'm just gonna remove this so that we have better access. And then I need to get, I believe it's a 27. I think it's a 27 mil. Let's grab that. Yep, 27 mil is correct. So that should be, oh nice, good job. That was not even that tight. So note to self, next time you tighten this, make sure it's actually tight. Gotten that off. Now this should just wiggle off. Oh, there's a washer in there. That's all right. Got that. All right. Hub adapter and quick disconnect removed. Now that we have that out of the way, I can start to clean up this surface, ready for the positioning of the sheet metal and then the actual digital dash itself. So I think if I take this and this nut off, this should drop enough for me to get the grinder in there. So I'm gonna give that a go. So I just took my time. I didn't have to remove anything. These have like breakaway bolts, I think they're called. And so really to get that off was gonna be a pain, and I just wanted to get that all cleaned up. So now that we've got kind of a clean surface, we'll get some etch primer on everything. Actually, we're gonna get some weld through primer on everything, and then we'll cut up the sheet, get it all ready to go, and then we'll weld it in. I just took my time cleaning it all up. I'm gonna grab the sheet metal that I've got. It's just some 18 gauge sheet metal. We're gonna create a pattern, I guess. We're gonna mark out where the IC7 digital dash is going to mount to. We may need to cut this section out so that we have enough room to do all the mounting and run all the wiring and stuff. I'm not 100% certain, so we'll get that going. And then, yeah, we'll just do a couple of tacks around, get that positioned in the right spot, and then probably just hit it with some seam sealer, paint it, and we're done. So you can see these, let's see if it focuses. You can see these 2, 3 pass-throughs here. They're usually used for the dash and then all the ancillaries and stuff. And I'm actually going to still use that for the dash. I'm going to grab some grommets and feed the dash wiring through there. I might actually just go out this one so that I can clump everything onto the passenger side. That's probably a better move. The idea is that I want to seal off this so that we're not getting any fumes and stuff. So we've got all of these holes that we have to fill so that none of the fumes from the fuel tank, all that kind of good stuff, doesn't come into the cabin. Obviously, there's still going to be some stuff that comes into the cabin, but I want to mitigate that as much as possible, that fuel smell. Although I love it, it's, you know, if I'm driving this to and from work and all that kind of good stuff, I want to protect myself. There's probably also rules in any kind of competition, I know there is, that firewalls basically have to be blocked off between yourself, the driver, and both the engine and the fuel cell, etc., in case there's any fire. So we're going to probably do that at some point. We'll probably get a fire suppression system in here too, but that's well and truly in the future. For now, I just want to clean that up. We'll get the dash mounted and all that kind of good stuff, and then we can run some wiring and get everything connected. I also have the PD16, so we're going to at least put that onto here and get all that mounted up, and then we'll kind of just turn it on and see how we go. Got a nice little present today. Nice Haltech order. Let's unbox this now. Alright, so the first thing that we've got is the PD16. This will be used with the chassis harness, all that kind of good stuff. So we've got one more part of the wiring. So now we can actually get that sorted. The CAN hub extender, basically we have a lot of stuff communicating via CAN now, and this was necessary. This is the wiring harness, big wiring harness, and then the fun one. So we have the IC7 dash. So we're going to go and position that up and see how nicely that'll fit. So more or less, I just want to make sure that everything is in the right spot and we actually have enough room, and my measurements were all correct. This will fit in pretty much perfectly there. That's what we're aiming for anyway, and we can kind of make that work with a piece of sheet metal. We'll have to space things out a little bit. We will have to cut this part out, but we'll leave this structural integrity where we can. But I think that this going there is going to be pretty damn cool. So let's just talk about the PD16 for a quick minute. This is what's going to power the entire chassis harness. We may need a second one, I'm not 100% sure just yet, but for now this should be enough for us to get our water pump, our fuel pumps, all of that kind of stuff all sorted. We're already running the fuel pumps off of the Nexus R3, but the PD16 is going to be for the fans and the water pump. I think that that's probably what we're going to do for now, and then maybe the secondary pump from the surge tank. But if everything that I did was correct, this should fit pretty nicely right there. So the idea is that's where the PD16 is going to go, and we should have enough space for the CAN hub as well. So as you can see, the PD16 lays out nicely. The CAN hub expansion adapter fits in there nicely. So we're going to disconnect everything and basically remove this, drill some holes, bolt it down. So a big part of this CAN system is the way that the dash connects. And so I want to make sure that I have enough cable basically to get to where I have the CAN hub adapter. So I think this is what I need. Yep. Awesome. So many stickers. So this should be long enough. I'm gonna pretty much run it and mount it into where I think it's gonna all go. First things first, to test fit this, I'm just kind of gonna balance it on this, but ultimately it will go about there, which is awesome. So once the sheet's welded in, we'll stand it off. We'll measure everything and kind of go from there. But for now, I just want to make sure that all the cables I can run nicely and make sure that they all reach the CAN adapter. So we're just going to rest it here. Actually, first we're going to clip that in there. We'll run the wires back just like they would be. And then, if I remember correctly, we should be able to go up through what the original gauge wiring went through for some grounds, I think. So the idea is there should be a hole here. Yep, awesome. So I can run it up and around through there and basically just come back and around with the other harnesses or the other wiring, and we have it connected. So let's go up through here, just kind of feed that through there, and then the idea is that we can piggyback off of where these cables are going from the ignition. So strap that through there. There's a factory body clip. There's another one there that we can run through. Okay, run that around underneath the fuel lines. Again, trying to match where I've already run wiring, just because I don't want it to be like, I don't want to have a bunch of wires everywhere. I kind of want there to be some rhyme and reason to everything. Alright, so we are actually short, but not by much. I think I have an extension somewhere. I don't. I'm going to have to buy one. That's alright. That's alright. We can work with that. We can work with that. And saying that, I do have quite a bit of wiring there. So let's go like that. Wait, let's not go like that. Let's feed it through the middle for where it's going to be. Let's push that through like that. Kind of grab. Oh, I might even be able to run the whole thing as a plug down there. Okay, so that gives us a bunch of extra cable. Like, are we talking a good 2 feet of wiring, which is kind of exactly what we need. Okay, so yeah, we're definitely going to fit. So the real question is am I going to be able to, from the backside, access the nuts and bolts to be able to, 1, install it into the sheet, and 2, uninstall it. So like, I need this to be able to come in and out. So comes out through here, follows along the same wiring that we have already. You can see it's got quite a bit of slack, and then goes down and around and up into the CAN hub. So I'm actually going to unplug everything, remove everything. We're going to drill some holes. We're going to mount those up where I want them. I also need to order some grommets. So that's on my list of things to order as well. So we're going to measure up those things and measure up the holes and order some grommets. So PD16, just throw that down there. All the CAN connections can be unplugged. Okay, so this is the CAN hub. We'll run these back through here. Get them out of the way. This is the drive-by wire pedal. Disconnect that. So we can tuck them back here. This is the chassis. So this is the, I guess it's the external, I don't know what you would call this. Basically this runs the fuel pumps and gets the ignition switch in. So now those are disconnected. Disconnect these. Okay, so move them out of the way. We can disconnect this. Now we just have to disconnect the negative and the positive. It should be a 14. So I should just have to disconnect these ones that go down into the, there's that one off. Just make sure that everything is reconnected. Alright, so this should now remove with this nut up here. Perfect. Okay, so the jungle gym's in the way. Alright, so that's disconnected. Now this should just come on out. Okay, alright. So now we can measure this up and mount the PD16 and the can hub. Alright, now that we're on the bench, we can basically position this where I originally wanted everything to go. This was all a part of the plan. So I just need to measure up and mark these points and those 2 points. But first I want to get the harness and just make sure that the clip and everything I can route nicely. So I'm going to do that right now. So this is the unterminated harness for the PD16. It is a lot of wiring. It is pretty daunting, but we're going to do it. We'll do it together. And it should be fine. It really should be fine. It's very simple. But I just want to make sure that I can plug these in before I bolt anything down. We don't want to bolt stuff down and then realize that the plugs don't fit. So I'm going to just snip this one here so I can get access to these plugs. And then, yeah, we can then mark where we want to mount everything, bolt it down, and reinstall it back in the car. Alright, now that we've got that, pull this through and basically make sure that the plugs fit, including the can plug that's going to go on the very last one. But we just need to make sure that both the high power ones as well as the standard in-outs are going to fit, and then we can mark everything up. Alright, so this one like this one like this, and then it's wanting to take me for a ride because of the cables, but the idea should be ultimately these two run under the negative and around the side, and then yeah, this is, I need it to be like a 90 boot. I might have to repin. Let's see. I'm just going to move the camera so that I have a little bit more room. So let's feed these in the way that I think I want to run them. So these will go in and around. So let's just see how much flex I have there. This one doesn't flex as much as I would hope. Oh, yeah, it will. Alright, so this is going to go in like that. This is going to go in like that. We're going to push these through like that. So that's up against there. This can will literally go into this one here. Oh, I have to use the adapter. See? 1 second. Okay, which means that I can actually make this so this can actually come out and around. Because it would be kind of nice to have it hidden back here like that. So that works out nicely. That's going to fit there. We're going to have a lot of wiring coming through here. So the next thing is actually getting... I'm going to get the covers for this and just make sure that everything's going to be good there. But I think that's kind of the best that I'm going to get. So we'll mark these points, we'll mark the can hub points, bolt it all together. We're not going to collide into anything. This is also some protection for the wiring. So let's get these on. These on. I wonder if I'm going to have to move the this one. Okay, so although cramped, it does fit. So I can technically lie that down like that. And obviously, however that goes, that goes. But I'm liking the positioning of that. We'll mark the can hub as well. We'll run that cable behind it. It looks kind of good. But that is looking pretty solid, if I don't say so myself. And then that's going to be a tiny little, we'll probably go around and into the side here. So we'll wrap around the rad lock, go around there. So now to mark everything and get some holes drilled. Because I don't have anything that's thin enough to get down there, my hole punch is too wide. So I'm just going to do this where I put some black marker on the bottom. And then I'm going to put it where I want it to go and drop in the screw, make it a little twisty. Same with at the top, drop it in, give it a little twist. And that should mark the aluminium enough. Aluminum, aluminium, you know, tomato, tomato, tomato. And now we'll remove that and see where those marks are. All right, so you can make out where that was and that one. So we're just gonna drill a hole through the aluminium and mount it up. So I just have a step drill. I'm just gonna go up to this one and that should be enough. So line them up. There's one. And there's two. Oh, I might need to go tiny bit bigger. That's like the perfect size, but I need to go just that little bit bigger so that I can actually fit the screw, the bolt, screw. All right, try that again. position that up. Oh, knock the camera. So if I turn that around, let's see. You can see we now have that bolted in. Nice. All right, I'm gonna mount that all up. But first, now that I know that that's going in there, I'm just gonna tighten them a tiny little bit down, and then plug in the harness again. I'm going to put water on there. Not probably, I will, but right now it's enough to test what I'm trying. Alright, so that's mounted in there quite nicely. We have everything lined up there. So let's feed the wiring back in and just confirm that we have in fact still got everything in the right spot. So this is going to sneak through there and we're going to mount it up in that spot there. This might be just to install it. I take these off and then I can feed that. Yeah, see how much easier that was? Okay, so note to self, take the cover off when installing. It will make everything a hell of a lot easier. So now that we've got that in like that, these wires can then come around into their natural spot. Now, one thing that is going to be annoying is that to install the CAN hub in here, I'm going to have to take the R3 off, which is fine. Again, it's one of those order of operations on how to put this piece together. And once it's together, it kind of all just slots in. So I'm going to unmount the R3. I'm going to mark the CAN hub sensors, the CAN hub extender where I want to mount them. I'm going to mount that all up. I'm going to mount the R3 back up, and then we're going to throw this back in the car and see how it looks. While I don't have the hardware, I've at least drilled the holes. So I'm going to just have this floating around for now, but there is holes there once I organize the hardware. So I'm going to put this all back together now and put it back into the car, remove the PD16 wiring so that we're not trying to lug this around into the car. But we have the PD16 and the CAN hub adapter mounted. Well, position bolted in, the PD16 is bolted in, but CAN hub not because I don't have the hardware. I just want to use my fingers, but oh, there it is. I don't want to damage the actual unit. All right. She's sticky, mate. She's very sticky. So just give that a quick wipe. And then this one is the one that will be upright. So peel that bad boy off. We want to line up, take our time, go from left to right, bottom to top. There you go. Oh, there's some, that's just sticky on the top. There you go, all gone, kind of. Dad move. There you go. Alright, like I said, I might as well make this while I'm here, given that I kind of want to get this going. So we'll measure up, that's where we're cutting, and we'll mark it just like that. Alright, I need to get my hydraulic crimper out, and we're going to get this crimped. Alright, nice crimp there. Get this all connected up. And then we'll just measure up for the little loop. So I'm thinking we wrap it around and kind of just go like that. I feel like that would be nice and clean. It'll probably go over the top of the one that goes into the fire, like pass through, and we'll just put it there. So measure that up, cut that off, and I just trimmed it. So just reconfirm this will indeed go like this. Yeah, so we'll just expose the copper here, put the sheathing on, and then crimp that down, and that will go right there. Okay, sheathing's on. Let's just mark that with this. Okay. Alright, throw that on. So we'll crimp it down and then we'll put the sheathing on and connect it all up. And there you have it. That's the PD16 to the distribution block done. So like I said, that one's going to go here. Just get this up and out. We'll connect that to the rad lock there. Go around like that. Beautiful. That is exactly how we want it. And then that, like that. Perfect. So I don't need the PD16 to be hooked up to put this into the car. I think it's just going to make it a little bit too difficult lugging that whole harness around. But I would like to position this the harness and everything else in the car. Just so that I can see that everything else is going to still work. So let's throw this in the car. So the grommet that I need to order, I think is like a 1.75 inch inner diameter, I believe. So I think Haltech actually have that as an option. Oh, I really should vacuum in here first. It's going to come out anyway. It's going to come out again anyway. All right. Those go over the top. These stay here. This one stays like this. Position that up there. Make sure we're not catching on anything. All right, so install this back in. Get that all nice and lined up. All right. So now that we have that plugged in, we can, let's plug all of these. That's that one, that one, that one. Now, there is another order of operations, isn't there? So the problem now is that the chassis harness kind of needs to be hooked up first, I guess. So there's that. That'll go through there like that. That's fine. Those things are the fine part. These two, and then I'm gonna need to grab the PD16 wiring. All right, let's grab the chassis wiring. Now this thing is freaking huge. So this will ultimately position everything that I need. Which is terrifying in the sense that it's just this bundle of wires right now, which we're just going to throw there. I got to be careful with what I'm stepping on. So let's just move all of that across there. So the goal now is to get this in position, including the CAN hub. Now, I don't really have that much room back there, but I think if I go like this, I should be able to sneak that down and under. And then, where are you coming out? Oh, you're coming out underneath. That could be cool. I may need to disconnect that top, feed it through, because this is going to be in the way now. All right, so it's more or less only for the PD16 can. So if that is off like that, this I should be able to squeeze past. Squeeze in front would be better. Okay, so go under there like that, through there, underneath like that, and ultimately that becomes the CAN connection for the PD16. Oh, it's back there. Okay, so I don't know how I feel about that now. I wonder if instead of that, I run it down like this. I wonder if I run it like this. That might be cleaner. Okay, let's just do that. Honestly, sometimes you just have to accept where things want to fall. And sometimes they don't want to fall where you really want them to, and you kind of just work around it. You know? Alright, let's find that hole. I think that's it right there. No, maybe? Oh, I gotta line it up. Okay, so that's lined up. That's put that in the right spot. You just tighten that down. Okay, so we now have, this is the can from the R3. We want that to go there. We've got that, so now we want this one to basically go up and under like that into the PD16. The PD16, the rest of this needs to be fed around through here. Just like so. That all clips in. That's all underneath that, so we can still disconnect the ground from there if we need. And then that kind of falls that there. So that's kind of messy and I don't like it. But again, if it's where things are falling for the harness, it's kind of where they're falling. So these two are important. The one is the drive-by-wire and the other is the ECUs. So it takes in the ignition switch to turn on the ECU basically. And it also takes in it sends out to the fuel pumps. So we've got those three need to come up there, and this one as well. So now that we've got the drive-by-wire plugged in, we can do the other CAN elements. So this one is the dash. No, this one is the keypad. Okay, and then this one is the dash. So I'll kind of feed that around to there. All right, so we have all of the CAN devices plugged in and routed up, and the drive-by-wire. That's all routed along quite nicely. Then we've got the plug for the fuel pump and the ignition source, the ignition switch. So that goes directly into the R3 with that one there. Okay, so we've got some wiring management to do. And then this one will come off. We will ground to the chassis, which then has ground to the engine. And if everything is in the right spot, then we can basically put the lid back on here, and that's all out of the way. Maybe we'll even turn it on and see. I gotta get the battery out of the daily driver, the A3, but honestly, that might be worth doing, given that kind of want to see the dash power on before we mount everything and all of that stuff. So yeah, that looks like it will perfectly fit in there. I'm sure that there's someone out there crying about the wire mess that I've got going on in this, all in this one spot. You know, sue me. Like, there's really not much I want to do about it, to be honest with you. I think that this being such a tight little package already is pretty neat, and I'm happy with where it's sitting. There's a part of me that's thinking that I might need to isolate this setup off of the sheet metal, like off of the car, just to, so it doesn't rattle and all that kind of stuff. You know, no one wants a rattle. So tighten that. We'll tighten the PD16 wire, and like I said, look, like this going underneath, nice and compact, nice and clean. We've got, you know, to me this is pretty solid starting point anyway. There's obviously a lot of wiring that needs to happen. We'll get there, but for the most part, this is enough to get the CAN hub, the dash working, and I know that the car runs like this. Obviously, we got to get the water stuff and all that kind of good stuff, and this will probably be used for the water pump. One of these high outputs will probably be used for the water pump. But right now, it's unterminated. We'll kind of just leave it here for now. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. That came out well good. Those Haltech goodies are out of control. The dash is going to look excellent. I just got to order the metal for it. And I'm really happy with how the PD16 and the CAN hub kind of sit. Again, I'm disappointed as to why there's no hardware for the CAN hub. But hey, whatever. I'll just order some online. That's not a problem. Yeah, so the next thing, I'm going to get some sleep. I'm going to go and have a shower and get some sleep. And then potentially tomorrow, grab the battery out of the A3 and see everything power up for the first time. I want to make sure that I've got connection between the R3 and the PD16, as well as the R3 and the dash. So whatever we got to do there to set that up and make sure that it works, super excited for that. It's been a while since one of these shots. It's the next day. I just grabbed the battery out of the A3. I'm going to plug it in. I'm going to disconnect the terminals from the PD16. I just want to make sure that it powers on, that it can be seen in the CAN hub, as well as the dash and the keypad. So before, the keypad was directly connected to the R3. Now it's got the CAN adapter. So I want to make sure that everything is seeing each other, all that kind of good stuff. And we'll see the dash turn on. The battery from the A3 is so heavy. Like, it's pretty ridiculous. And then I have to go and install it back in there once we're done. So, positive and negative. let's just fucking hammer hand that in. All right, make sure everything is, we have power. I'm just going to, so again, we got to disconnect. We got to take off the little cap just so that we have all the access that we need to unplug this unterminated harness. Oh, I have to keep it plugged in for the can. That's all right. I think it should be fine. Given that nothing is set up, it's not going to be outputting anything other than the can, I suspect. So let's put that back on. All right, what should we film? Should we film the turning on? Should we film the dash lining up for the first time? That's a big burp. All right, battery's connected. Everything's there. I'm gonna go and grab the laptop and plug it in, and then we'll turn the ignition, see what happens. Massive shout out to Brandon again, his dad, and this new shop laptop. All right, plugged in. Let's boot this up. Make sure that it can connect to the R3 still. We haven't shorted anything out there. That would be not great. Let's see what we can do. Let's discard all of that. Load everything up from here. All right. So it sees the R3. We're good there. That's the, I need to add a brake pressure sensor, but that's for later. That's for later. All right. We have connection. All right, so this is first ignition on. Fuel pumps went. Keypad. I believe the dash turned on. Oh my goodness. Well, that's very cool. That was almost instant. That was almost too easy. Wow. Okay, I'm shocked. So PD16 is enabled. We've got the keypad detected, which is amazing. And then obviously the VCU and everything like that. So we are looking pretty solid there. I'm going to end the video here. We obviously didn't get the dash mounted, but that'll be in the next video. I'm super excited that everything kind of worked just without a hitch then. I'm updating the firmware so that I can communicate everything through NSP, but that's for later. And yeah, thanks again for watching. This was a long one, so I appreciate if people actually made it to this point. And yeah, please continue to comment, like, and subscribe. It really does help. And I'll see you in the next video. Sometimes you just gotta clean your knob, you know? Personal hygiene's very necessary these days.